find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So New Off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's good to see YouTube chat going absolutely mental. Before we've even gone live, it is round 4 of the JPB American Tour, and we are here at the Cota West Circuit. 16 corners of this absolutely amazing circuit here. We have used the short track inside, and it's going to be incredible. 3.64 kilometers in length. I am James Parfitt. I'm alongside Mr. Zach Sweeney, aka Sween Dog, aka Sween Puppy, here this evening. Let's catch you up to date with what is going on in the scores at the moment. In the AMS, it is Deck Crowber out in front with Scott Malcolm in second, and then you got Carl Jacklett in third, Tom Woodcock fourth, Kev Eilert in fifth on 84 points, Victor Brown in sixth, Jess Rakowski seventh, Dan Lewis in eighth, and then you got Stuart Gibbons, James Ellis, Dom Joy, Leo Bryan, Tom Anderson, Chris Barnes, Tom Weston, Rob Williams, and then Mike Barr. In the team standings, it's JAASR out in front at 179 with Blade Designs on 172. Performance Link Esports Yellow on 141 as well. And then you got Performance Link Esports Red, Kraken Racing, and Survival Hub Racing. In the pros, it's Dan Mould out in front with Paddy Faulkner second, Mike Pollard third, Callum Regarton in fourth with Fraser Elphick fifth, Ian Manners sixth, Russell Fowler seventh, Stephen Fry in eighth with Adam Dalmont, Alan McCain, John Brown, John Cook, Michael Lees, JB Deju, and Mark Draper, your top 15. Then you got George McDonald, Michael Seal, Jay Corley, Reese Watt, and Ed Stewart Bickley. In the team standings, it's the AI RaceSummaries.com Wiener team out in front of 156 with SRL Next Gen 147, SRL Amber on 116, and then in fourth it's SRL Emerald. Then we've got Sabal Esports in fifth, JW Motorsport sixth, Performance Link Esports Green in 7th, SRL Ruby 8th, VTech Gang 9th, Performance Link Esports in 10th, and then BSTV in 11th. And we can now welcome in Zach Sweeney into the booth. Good evening, Mr. Sweeney. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Again, the Friday evenings with the touring cars, always a great way to round off the Monday to Friday. And yeah, they've just sort of become accustomed to the weekly schedule, as you'd expect. But the American Tour continues. We're here at Cota. Obviously, a slightly altered layout, not the full Grand Prix circuit as you'd expect. As we typically do, sort of for the JP leagues and things, we are running on the shorter version of the circuits, but that's not to take anything away from Cota West. I think actually it can work quite well. Obviously, you cut out essentially a few of the corners, and what you get is essentially just a straight line chicane through turn 6, then you go into sort of 7, 8, and 9, that little wiggly bit, the left and the right. Essentially, you can just straight line it. So all it does is really shorten the circuit. It doesn't really add or take anything away in terms of overtaking opportunities. You still get turn 1. You still get the triple apex right-hander that they're running their way through now. You still obviously get the sort of the corner going through into turn 15 as you're turning and braking at the same time. Again, another corner that, especially in touring cars, can really open the door for some good overtaking opportunities. So yeah, I think it is going to keep everyone nice and close, but most importantly, I think having that run up the hill, most importantly as well, into turn number 1, and with quite a wide run going into the apex, it's just, yeah, it's a recipe for a lot of overtakes, which I'm sure we're going to see over the course of the 2 races today.
Yeah, we definitely will as well, and I think that's one of the interesting things with Cota is that to run up into turn 1, okay, now there is plenty of different lines going up here. Now the up to line, as you can see with Fraser Elphick, is that outside line, but there'll always be somebody who will take a dive up the inside. That normally puts them out of sync for coming down these fast right-handers. The S section here with turn 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now turn 6 is going to be very difficult because we're not flowing to the right-hand side. We're taking a sharp left, as we're going to see very, very shortly. We're right about now. Now, over this week, a lot of people have been saying that obviously the off-tracks are going to be very tight. It's going to be very tough for people with off-tracks. There was even talk of an expecting of at least free drivers getting a DQ through incident limits just with the off-tracks. It's a very difficult circuit, and one that I think that these guys are going to have to master. There's a lot of opportunity for off-tracks. There's a lot of opportunities to run curbs, hit sausage curbs here. And as we know, it is Cota. So again, this turn here is also given lots of options for drivers to basically make moves up the inside. There's a lot of different lines at a lot of the different corners here.
Yeah, Cota is... It's just modern. Obviously, it was constructed sort of in the sort of 2010, 2011. I think it was completed by 2012. So it is, by circuit standards, a fairly modern circuit, which is why we have got quite an extensive amount of runoff everywhere. So naturally, we are going to see quite an extensive amount of off tracks because, the track doesn't allow it. Otherwise, you wouldn't get off tracks for it. But in a sense, sort of, there's no real punishment apart from a 1X. You're not going to hit a barrier, you're not going to hit grass, you're not going to go spearing off into the gravel or anything like that. You do have the luxury of just tarmac. So if you do run wide, you don't panic as such. You just let the car do its thing, you take the 1X and you carry on with your day. So yeah, naturally we are going to see probably quite a lot of off tracks in that regard. And will we see drivers getting drive-throughs and DQs? Maybe if it gets that bad. Maybe if they are pushing the limits a little bit too much, because it can happen. You're following a car really close, you can't really see where you're going, you understeer, you're pushing hard. They add up. And then let's also not forget that if you spin, if you have a crash, even the smallest bit of contact, boom, 4X. Couple that with a lot of track limits violations, and very easily, yeah, they are going to add up over time. But I don't think we're going to see anything as bad as we could see sort of in the vein of IndyCar or NASCAR around Cota. I think that's a little bit extreme. So these guys, I'm sure, are going to be on their best behavior, at least trying to keep it within the white lines and staying to the conventional race line. But yeah, I'm sure we are going to see a couple of slip-ups at some point. But, well, again, that is just racing. You've got to, I guess, to not get disqualified, drive on the track. I don't really know what else there is to sort of comment on that point with, because if they're complaining about the off tracks, then just stay on the track.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the things they're going to have to look out for. One of the interesting things as well is we're going to have 30 TCRs rushing up the hill into turn 1. Now, don't get me wrong, it's going to produce some great racing, but could also produce some great carnage. I think this is one of the things with TCRs, and we're fairly lenient on the rules of rubbing is racing. They are allowed to rub as race. There is a stewarding system if people do want to make an inquiry, and the stewards will look at it, don't get me wrong, and they will analyze it, and the 4 of them will make up their mind as a collective group. But at the same time, that's not really been utilized this season. It wasn't hardly utilized last season either. I think we had like 2. complaints all season, and I think that's what really shows the spirit of TCRs, is the fact that, you know, they've got that ability there to make a complaint, but not many people use it. And I think one of the things that we did bring in is that the stewards the room doesn't actually open till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so it gives people the chance to make that calm down period and get out of that red mist there as well. So let's run through. Welcome in everyone in this YouTube chat. Handsome Stew, Alec Love, Richard Simnar is also there. Welcome in Lewis McGlade, much love for jumping in. Austin Draper, Craig Jones is another one in here as well, so thank you so much to all of you for joining us. And Piercy at the bottom there. If I missed anyone, Ria, thank you very much also as well for coming in. It's good to see YouTube chat was kicking off right before the start of the broadcast here once more, so a great job there. As we can see Callum Regarton coming round in qualifying round that final turn here, turn 17, and he's going to go over the line with purples on the board. He's going to reinforce his pole position time at the moment on a 1:39.692. Absolute flyer from Callum Regarton. Now, I was talking to a friend during this week, and he's watched the TCRs and he's analysed the TCRs, and, you know, he says Callum Regarton can be running away with this championship if he just settled down in the reverse grid for race 2. I think that's probably where CRG's Achilles heel is that turn 2 as well. So that race 2. So I think he's got to settle down in race 2 to basically to really gain advantages of that point system.
Yeah. Obviously, race 2 is slightly longer in length. Race 1 is 20 minutes, and then race 2 heads its way into 30, naturally, with more points for the latter, because you're essentially racing for longer. But also, obviously, with a championship, you know, what crafts a champion, it's not just getting pole position and leading the way and being consistent. Don't get me wrong, that's a very good attribute to have. But you're not going to have a whole season where you're always starting towards the front. You are going to have races where you need to show that you can overtake, that you can consistently, cleanly fight your way through a pack of fields and limit damage. And I think that is what a reverse grid race, you know, perfectly emulates and forces sometimes, is for these champions to showcase their consistency, to show that, yeah, maybe their starting position isn't ideal, but how are they going to cope with it? How are they going to limit the damage? How high can they get up? I mean, we see in all the other championships that we do reverse grid formats on, the UK Sim Racers MX5s, the JPB Clear Cup, etc. You know, we see these champions, you know, the likes of Pete Newman, Dan Hunt, Tom Griffiths, whoever it is, in their respective championships. They fight their way to the front in the reverse grid race. You know, maybe they don't win every race, but they're in the top 5. They get themselves onto the podium, things like that. And they add up, they accumulate over the course of the season. And that is how you win championships. Funnily enough, you know, if you score points, chances are you're going to do all right in a championship. So, yeah, making sure you maximize your race to opportunities is going to be important. I think especially at a circuit, you know, well, the circuits that we have had so far, a lot of them have been, you know, the likes of Sonoma and Laguna Seca, essentially in the middle of a desert with not a lot of runoff. You know, those are the races where consistency is going to reign supreme. But I think at a circuit like Cota as well, I'm expecting we're going to see a lot of overtaking. I'm expecting we're going to see cars very close in the slipstream. We're going to see a lot of pack racing, and that is where you're going to earn your money in that reverse grid race.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely what they've got to try and do. They've got to try and keep it on track. They've got to try and make sure that they can do the reverse grid. And what I will say, if anybody out in YouTube chat as well, if you've never ever done a reverse grid, or you always end up making a mistake in the reverse grid, just ask Pete Newman how he does it in the Clios. He is exceptional and at coming through in that reverse grid there as well. Andrew Pike, thank you so much for joining us. Andrew Jones as well. Much love to you guys. Sorry, Andrew, Mr. Pike, Mr. Fish, dear sir, I didn't miss you out. I just didn't actually see your name there, but never mind. It's all good fun here once more. Now, that 30-minute feature race. Well, that alone brings some interesting racing, right? We've got a top 15 reverse as we go into the last 4.5 minutes. It's still CRG out in front with Mo, Delmont, Elphick, Lees. Carl Jacklit's doing a great job. Paddy Faulkner in that AI race summaries Honda there has just put himself up into 3rd place. So great job from Paddy. Carl Jacklit in the AMS. That reverse grid brings, well, it brings some very interesting racing, doesn't it?
Yes.
I think that's the only way we can explain it, isn't it, really? Interesting racing.
Well, I think interesting in that sense is just a filler word.
It's like what?
Well, I don't know. It's what I mean. It's like it's one of those words where you don't really. It's the word you use when you don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
There's not really an adjective to describe it, because what you go with interesting, it's so vague and it's so ambiguous that it's really up to interpretation. Interesting can mean it's absolute chaos, but it can also mean that it's some of the best racing you've ever seen. It can also mean that it's the most boring race you've ever seen. You just don't want to say it and make everyone feel bad. So interesting in that sense is very it sort of just is just a wishy-washy word that doesn't really fit as such. But yeah, we are going to have interesting racing of some sort. We're going to have racing. There are going to be cars on track, but it does lend itself well to exciting racing, chaotic racing. Sometimes, yeah, boring racing. Sometimes you do get the early lap carnage and just nothing happens from then on. But what it does do is it obviously, it allows the people, not necessarily the slower people, those that didn't quite get as fortunate in race 1. You can be the quickest driver on the field, but still finish 15th place and get pole for race 2. So it allows them to redeem themselves for maybe their wrongdoings in race 1, their mishaps, their mistakes, their misfortune, as I say. But it can also sort of open the door for some underdogs, the likes of maybe an AM overall win or an AM overall podium, or just one of those drivers in the pros that we all love to see do well, but they don't quite have the caliber to match up with the CRGs, the Danmolds, the Delmonts, and it opens the door for them to do well. So yeah, there is a lot of positives to gain. A lot of people will say it's gimmicky and gives good results, but I don't think so. I think if we've seen a lot of times in the past where the quickest driver will still win the reverse grid race because they've got enough time to fight their way forwards, but it just gives the other drivers a chance to showcase what they can do. And then also, it forces the faster drivers to actually do some overtaking. So chances are we are going to see quite a little bit of that.
Yeah, we definitely are as well. 29 cars on track here. I think this is going to be very interesting through the first part from turn 1 on that run down into turn 6. I'd be very surprised if everybody makes it through 6 here, partly because of the way the nature, you could just see it here. It's a very difficult corner in general, that corner at the base. You're normally used to just running to the right. It's going to provide some issues, but let's see how these drivers get on. And at the moment, it is one Mr. Callum Regarden in that Veloster. I'm so proud of him. He's got his decals on this week as well, so big shout out to CLG for that one. We've got 1:39.579 on the clock at the moment as your pole timer. Dalmold second, Adam Dalmont in third, and then John O'Cook in fourth. Now, I've got an interesting thing to talk about with John O'Cook. Jono actually selected the wrong car when he entered into the session. Now, as we know, he's not able to leave and come back and select a different car. I have made the constructive decision that as it was not an intentional car swap, Jono will not get a quali ban, hence he is out now. Now, everybody obviously is getting that one opportunity. If you're doing it every single week, you're going to have quali bans. But as it was a one-time mistake, and he was normally in that Elantra, he's not even got a livery on that Veloster at the moment. It is a bog-standard livery. I have turned around and made the decision that he doesn't need to be punished by a quali ban, because as we know, it's easy done in the iRacing UI. So that's it. That's the end of that one. That's my decision. Qualifying is coming to the end. We've got about 4 seconds left here as well, and we will be able to show you the grid of what is happening very, very shortly. Okay, maybe not. There we go. Callum Regarden is on pole with Dalmond in second, Adam Dalmont in third, John O'Cook 4th, Paddy Faulkner in 5th, Fraser Elphick 6th, Mikael Lees in 7th. Carl Jagler in the AMs in 8th with Jay Corley 9th, Mikey Pollard 10th, Stephen Fry 11th, and Mark Draper is down in 12th place. In 13th, John Brown, Stuart Bickley, and then behind that in 15 and 16, we've got Kev Eilert and Tom Woodcock. 17, we've got Jess Rukowski, Alan McCain, Dom Joy, Russell Fowler, round out the top 20. Deck Craver, Reese Watt, Scott Malcolm, and JB Deju in 24th. Tom Anderson, Dan Lewis, Rob Williams, Ian Manners, and Stuart Gibbons rounds out that top 29 cars there as well. So let's see how these guys all get on once more as we're going to be heading into the first race. It is 20 minutes. The second race is 30 minutes, and we will be good to go for that reverse grid in race 2. The start will be coming up very, very shortly. We're just waiting for Stephen Fry and Alan McCain to get onto the grid. You can see the 29 runners and riders on the left-hand side there as well. It is not the GP layout, it is the shorter layout. So there we go. Before Steve Fry and Alan McCain gets on there as well. Are you making up rules for your friends? I am definitely not Craig Jones. It was a one-time mistake. I will let him off this once because at the end of the day, he's not practiced in the car. He's not done anything in the car. And as I say, he doesn't even have a livery on the car either. So it will be a one-time mistake. If it continually happens, then yes. But we are up and running, and we are going to be green, green, green with CRG out in front there. The lights are a little bit of a delay coming on after that. But Callum Regarden has got an absolute flyer. Then you've got Dan Mold and Adam Dalmont running side by side through turn 1 before they go off. They're 4 wide further back as well. That's the 2 SRLs and the AI race summaries. I believe that was Stuart Bickley off the side of the circuit there. There has been an incident between Jess Rukowski and Alan McCain. We will have a look back at that one very, very shortly. But at the moment, CRG out in front. Here's that. Most people through cleanly, but this is where we're expecting the sparks to fly at the moment.
Yeah, everyone just about managing to fight their way through, pointing the right way. I mean, no changes between the top 5, just showcasing sort of how equal of a start they all got at the front. But Callum Regan already trying to stretch his legs in the opening phase. A couple of drivers trying to go side by side into the next braking zone as a look to the inside there. A look further back, Mark Draper potentially, as Tom Woodcock was actually the driver trying to find his way through. Of course, he is the one that has to make some ground up on Carl Jacklett, leading the way in the AMs, and he's got a lot of cars between him and, of course, his AM rival. We run away in towards turn 15. You're turning while you're braking, and then a little bit of camber on the apex as well to assist the rotation. So definitely an overtaking opportunity if you can spot it. So far, so good in the opening lap.
Yeah, they definitely are. Paddy Faulkner here as well. He's got Michael Lees right behind him as they go on that run now. Going to come around and just about complete the first lap very, very shortly. CRG will be the first one, obviously, in the lead of the race over the start-finish line first. And lap 1 is done and dusted. It is an all-pro front 7. And then Carl Jacklett mixing it up with that AMS as well. Carl Jacklett has done a stellar job this season. He's got Stephen Fry there chasing down Jay Corley, and Mr. Jay Corley there is going to be having a battle of his life. Last season's AM champion, of course, and now he got promoted up to the pros this time around. It's getting very, very tight in all the championships at the moment, so pay attention. Reese Watt and Russell Fowler running side by side through the S's they go here as well. And this could end up working out quite horrendously for Reese Watt currently at the moment. But let's see how he gets on as they're battling side by side with Kev Eilert in front and Russell Fowler behind. He has got the job done. I think Eilert's just completely missed it. Kev Eilert forgot which way the track went there, Zach, and has completely gone off the side of the circuit.
Yeah, easily done. When you're not used to the layout, of course. Maybe just an honest mistake, but rejoining a little bit sketchy, getting in the way of the Audi there. I believe, just in behind. Yeah, I think he definitely did throw that Audi off ever so slightly. Yeah, Dan Lewis just in behind, getting a little bit confused as to what the as to what Eilert was doing. We've got a little bit of a fight further up as well. We've got many fights further up and down as well. Look at this gaggle of cars. So many drivers side by side as they run their way in towards what is usually turn 13, and more contact as well. Tagged round.
Bickley.
Carnage all over.
Yeah, Bickley and Draper having a coming together there once more, but it is still CRG with Paddy Faulkner having Michael Lees tucked up right behind. It looks like Russell Fowler and Dom Joy have also had moments here once more, so they're going to be battling away and seeing how they get on in this race currently at the moment. So it's going to be tough for these guys, but let's see what they're able to do and whether or not they can recover. Jay Corley trying to get onto the back of Mikey Pollard with Fry behind him, Woodcock, McCain, John Brown in a battle with Reese Watt there as well. Excuse the timing system, it has just gone off for me. I am trying to fight fires in the background at the same time, but leave it with me because I will get it sorted out. John Brown on the inside there as well. A stellar job from him. Makes a move through that SS section there, Zach. Not an easy thing to do.
Really isn't, of course, especially in these touring cars. The front wheel drive nature sort of entices them to run wide, and when you're going through high-speed stuff, you're under more lateral load, therefore the front tyres are doing even more work, which means they're even more likely to run themselves wide. So yeah, it takes a lot of bravery in order to go for moves like that, but fair play. Side by side here, Alan McCain fighting away with John Brown. You can see side by side between the two SRL machines, and they've got, of course, Reese Watt in the background waiting for his chance to strike. Side by side once more between the two Hyundais. Reese Watt still unable to find a way through. Who's it going to be finding their way through in the fight just ahead? Alan McCain, as it stands, has got the measure, but there goes John Brown chucking the move to the inside, going through the left-hander. Able to keep his footing around the outside though has McCain. Is it going to be the inside for the triple apex right-hander that very quickly comes after? I mean, I have to say Reese Watt is probably loving watching this fight. He's going to be a little bit disappointed that he can't get involved though.
Yeah, he definitely is at the moment, but these guys doing an absolutely stellar job round the left-hander of turn 16. They go John Brown, Alan McCain, obviously one in the SRL Emerald, one in the SRL Amber, and Reese Watt from JW Motorsport is going to be looking up the inside of Alan McCain. Round the final corner, we are now going to be running on that run down uphill into turn 1, of course. Is Reese Watt going to be able to make that move? It doesn't look like he is. It's possible that McCain is going to look. He's poked his nose up the inside. He's going to be last on the brakes. Is he at the moment? He's going to put himself all out of shape. Reese Watt's going to try and come around the outside. Is he going to try that cutback at the moment? He's not. He didn't quite get that rotation through. He's looking up the inside of McCain through the first part. The S is there. That's a big old running off the side of the circuit there, Zach, as well for Reese Watt. He's going to have to be a little bit careful because he's not going to be able to keep trying to do that.
Yeah, well, to be fair to him, as it stands, he is going to be taking pole position for race 2, so depends what his aims are in terms of points scored today. I mean, he could just sit there and take the track position going into race number 2. As it stands, he is going to be looking to go for more. As you can see, his intent definitely is to try and find a move on Alan McCain, but just saying it's not going to be, you know, usually disadvantageous to him if he wants to stay behind. Then again, the only thing with that is the fact that Mark Draper is now closing on to the back of them. So Reese Watt might just have sort of a fire lit behind his backside that sort of is going to have to put him into gear and fight his way forward, as to, you know, not fall off the reverse grid pole threshold, because again, the gap between 15th and 16th probably isn't going to be much as same to as the gap between that car and the barrier. That is a fairly hefty shot.
Yeah, Williams in the wall and is now sitting in the pits. Alan McCain there has lost that place to Reese Watt. Reese Watt did make it through this time as they're going off around that final corner again for that run up into turn 1. What's happening here with Pollard at the moment? He's trying to get onto the back of Jacqueline. He's also trying to defend from the SRL Ruby Stephen Fry in that Elantra. As you can see, Mike Pollard in the Honda there with Jay Corley in the background. Tom Woodcock also was in second place in the AMS at the moment here, and currently trying to, well, I think for Woodcock, he's just got to try and stay with the people in front. He doesn't really want to get mixed up with this John Brown, Reese Watt, Alan McCain battle, but at the same time, he's got to try and make some room going forward to Carl Jacqueline, because obviously Jacquelin's in first at the moment in the AMS with Pollard, Fry and Corley behind him. So in hindsight, the fact that Jacqueline is beating no fewer than 9, I think it's 10 pros at the moment, this man here is doing a stellar job.
He is, as it stands. I don't think he's going to be able to fight his way forward as such. He's got 3 seconds up to Fraser Elphick, so I think his progress is capped here. But it all depends on obviously what Mikey Pollard, Stephen Fry and Jay Corley can do in their fight with him as well, because they're closing the gap, and soon they probably will be all over the back of Carl Jacqueline. It all depends on how hard he wants to fight. he got a good gap back to Tom Woodcock, who is in 12th overall and has got a good probably 4.5 seconds, I'd say, between Jacklett and Woodcock. So that's a decent buffer to have. However, if he does fight with Pollard, with Fry, with Quali, then it is just going to make his life that much more difficult and potentially bring Woodcock into the fight. So he has got to be mindful of that. He has got to be careful and sort of, I mean, by all means have a competitive nature, by all means finish as high up the overall order as you can, but also be sensible about your own respective championship, as here comes Reece Watt trying to make some progress forward.
Yeah, he's trying to go with John Brown. Brown there right beside him. As you can see, he's just lost that position. Reece Watt's going to be coming up the inside. There he is, job done. Now can Brown get him on that run? Down the hill, through turn 2 we're going at the moment. It's not. Watt has cleared both John Brown and Alan McCain. He's opened up that gap, but he didn't want to get caught up in that Mark Draper battle, and he hasn't been caught up in with that closing Mark Draper. He's managed to get away here, Zach. He's put them 2 cars between him, which he's done an absolute stellar job, mind you, as well, to be able to do that. The battle rages on, as you can see with John Brown and Reece Watt here. They're still fighting it out, the JW Motorsports and the SRL Renwald. Callum Regarton's out in front by nearly 2.5 seconds. The Mould and Delmont close together by about 7/10 currently at the moment, but it is this John Brown battle that's a little bit closer than normal, with Jess Rakowski and JB Deju further down there running side by side as they come around now, getting run into that turn 13 before they start attacking that run down the hill. That long right-hander they're going to have here as well through 14 and 15. It's going to be an interesting one. Rakowski in the AMs, Deju in the pros, but at the moment, the pros are mixing it up within the AMs.
Yeah, they are. Again, it's that grey area between pros and AMs. Where do you draw the line? Unless, as I say, week in, week out, you sort of have an A and a B final that's determined by a qualifying heat or the previous result of the last race or whatever it is. You're not really going to be able to have a fluctuating pro and AM system. So it is hard to draw the line and have set pro and AM. Means that you are going to have mix and matches all across the season, because they are starting on the same grid, they are in the same qualifying session. It's not pros and AMs start separately as such, so you are going to have the mingling, which, to be fair, has definitely thrown a spanner into the mix with it. Of course, Rakowski driving really well again at her many home races that she's going to have over the course of the season, but fighting away with her countryman of JB Deju, who's fighting away with the 999 machine, and well, we're both having a lot of fun putting on a good show for the home fans here at the Circuit of the Americas. Following on with Kyle Jacklett, as he is very closely followed by Mikey Pollard, who has brought himself back into contention. We are just under halfway to go in race number 1, and still plenty of action to come. A fight for second as well between Mould and Delmont could well materialise into the near future, as they're only separated by about half a second, maybe even less, 4/10 between the two. Jonathan Cook not a million miles away either, about a second and a half back. So again, we could well see a three-way fight for second. I mean, CRG, he's up, he's gone, he's checked out. He's his own worst enemy in this race. The only person that can beat him is probably himself, but fight for second, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be amazing. I'll be very surprised, though, as these are both from the SRL Next Gen team, so I'll be very surprised if they do end up battling. Surely they just want to try and close the gap to CRG in front. Unfortunately, CRG is just absolutely flying. See in the background, Fraser Elphick, Michael Lease, and also Paddy Faulkner there as well. Paddy got a little tap from Michael Lease running into turn 1. That's going to put him all out of shape through that run through 2. Is this going to be Elphick's opportunity to make that move over Michael Lease as he goes and starts wheeling his way through 4 and 5 before they come down to the tricky left-hander of 6. Elphick takes a lot of the curb here as well. Round 6 they go. That left-hander, Elphick's having a good old go. He's trying his hardest to stay with Michael Lease at the moment. Not really getting there at the moment. Just looking back through that rear boot and the back wing. And as you can see, these guys are going around turn 13 before they go into that run into 14, 15. That long looping right-hander. They'll be there very shortly as well, will these two guys. And for Fraser Elphick, he almost had a sniff there, didn't he? He had an opportunity, couldn't quite capitalise on Michael Leese's slow exit and getting all out of shape through the S's through 3, 4 and 5 there. And unfortunately for Elphick, he's not going to quite make it through. He's got to be a run up into turn 1 once more, I believe, where you can take multiple lines going up. So that's going to be an interesting one. We'll keep an eye on how Leese defends running up into turn 1, and he's lost that little bit of time to Pollard, about 3 tenths at the moment from where they were before. But it is all about what Fraser Elphick's going to do over Michael Leese and whether or not he's going to get him up into turn 1, Zach.
Yeah, of course, with the uphill inclination of turn 1, you can brake a lot later than you think. You're you're going against gravity, which is slowing you down even more. Also, there's a pinch point on the apex. It's a lot wider coming in. Means that there is the opportunity for you to send a move. So many different lines you can take in turn 1 here at Cota. You can take the traditional geometric line where you just take the shortest distance round. You can go wide, cut in for a late apex. So many different ways to do it, so many different ways to get it right, and therefore so many ways to get some moves done as well. So yeah, turn 1, I'm surprised we haven't seen more overtaking and action occur there, because it is so well thought out as an overtaking opportunity. You know, it's at the end of a long straight. The corner that leads you onto the straight as well isn't too difficult to follow through either. And also, as I say, with the undulation of it as well, it is just the perfect blend for an overtaking opportunity. But no people thinking about it on that occasion. We still have got this very good fight. Paddy Faulkner hanging on to a top 5 position ahead of Michael Leese and Fraser Elphick, who themselves, again, are phenomenal drivers, but have to be careful about the track limits. We could see there Paddy Faulkner just running a little bit wide, did slow him down a little bit as he had to then snatch the car back onto the circuit, but all good for now. The Irishman able to stay in 5th, albeit under a lot of pressure from Michael Leese.
Yeah, he is here, and coming around turn 16 before they go into the last 5 minutes. CRG has gone on to lap 10, so that's where we're at the moment. Looking at lap times about 1:39. You're going to have about another 3 laps here. What is Paddy Faulkner going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to hang on? Elphick's within that 2/10 mark at the moment. He's closing, he's got to be, surely that's got to be a move into turn 1. Is he going to take it? Not this time for Fraser Elphick. Again, he's relying on trying to get the exit out of 1, and before he starts running in and through the S's of 2, 3, 4 and 5 here, and then into the left-hander of 6 at the base of the hill. But Elphick's looking racy. He just doesn't seem to be able to, Zach, find a way through at the moment over the back of Michael Leese. He seems to be struggling. He closes him up towards the end of the lap and gets close to him, but once he gets onto that start-finish straight and through 2, 3 and 4, Leese is then closing up on Paddy Faulkner. So it's a bit of an ebb and flow at the moment, I think, for these guys. There's no real one car's faster than the other. I think it's just a bit of a mixture at the moment. You see there, Sector 1, Elphick is quicker. Sector 2, he's slower than Leese, but, you know, so it's very up and down at the moment.
It is. I think over the course of the lap, they are the same pace. It's just they're quicker in different places, as you say. Paddy Faulkner, I think he's quick exactly where he needs to be, which is going in and coming out, right? He has the speed. He brakes late enough as to not be susceptible to a dive bomb. He still has the speed exiting the corner, so much to be not attacked into the next corner. So, yeah, he is just in control. Of course, Michael Leese, maybe if he did get in front, he'd be able to fly away as such. But as it stands, his speed is going sort of through the corner, driving to the apex, which is great. And it does help in your overall lap time, but you can't get a move done midway through a corner. It's going in and it's coming out that overtakes happen. And as it stands, Paddy Faulkner has got the advantage, but Michael Leese has got to be mindful of the fact that he's got Fraser Elphick looming in the background. You can see immediately under pressure. I think Michael Leese actually now looking in his rearview mirror more than looking forwards in order to attack Paddy Faulkner. And that's the problem with being a second car in a 3-car train.
Yeah, it is. You're sandwiched in the middle. They want to go in slow. They want to come out fast, and they need to make sure that they are keeping it within the limits there. You don't want to be sticking it anywhere you shouldn't, because it can end up causing you a major problem. You need to be a little bit careful where you pick your gaps and which holes you're going to be going for, because trust me, they will close very, very quickly if need be. They are going off around turn 10. And through turn 11, these three still fighting it out. There's another little battle developing in the background there as well with Steve Fry, Mikey Pollard, Jake Corley. We've also got Mark Draper and Alan McCain from the SRL Emerald and the Amber team here once more. Draper down in 16th, McCain 15th, and John Brown in 14th. So there's 2 Emeralds and an Amber once more. All we need is an AM in that, and we'd have a little bit of a traffic light system going on here. Green, orange and red, but never mind, don't mind me, as Kev Eilert and Jess Rakowski are battling out in 5th and 4th place. Overall in the AMS, it's 19th and 20th at Tron track at the moment. So there's battles all the way through the circuit. You see it on the left-hand side. Pros are blues, AMS are red, if you haven't ever been here before. And now Pollard is under attack from Stephen Fry, and it's going to be very, very close here for these guys to make sure that they do get to the end of this race. There's nothing worse than completing the first 19 minutes and crashing out. As we can see, Jay Corley's just about to try and make the move up the inside of Stephen Fry. It's that different line into turn 1 for Jay Corley. He goes on the brakes. He gets that Honda stopped. Is he now going to be able to hold off Stephen Fry? Through turn 2 they go. Jay Corley takes that position away. There's a stellar move from Corley. Sent it up the inside in front of Stephen Fry. A different line, different outcome. He did manage to take that position away.
Yeah, Jay Corley really sort of bedding in quite nicely with the pros. Obviously, the AM champion coming into a new challenge amongst some of the big dogs in the pros. And to be fair to him, he has driven quite well. Is this the final lap? They've got 30 seconds left on the clock. Callum Regan, as it stands, is just about to run his way through 17-18. That complex, this triple apex right-hander. It's going to be close. He's got 20 seconds to get to the line. This could well be the final lap. To be fair to him, he's got the gap to slow down and make sure it isn't.
Yeah, he can just back up a little bit, of course, and just take the checkered flag. It is going to be the checkered flag. It is going to be CRG who's going to take this race 1 victory in the pros. Callum Regan doing an absolutely stellar job. CRG in first. Who's going to get it in the background? It is Dan Mould. John O'Cook has jumped Adam Dalmont, and Dan Mould and John O'Cook go over the line together. Be interested to see where that one happened and whether or not Dan Mould or whether or not Adam Dalmont may have made a mistake here. Here comes John O'Cook now. He takes the inside line, gets it done over Adam Dalmont. That looks like a slowdown for Adam Dalmont there as well to allow John O'Cook through.
Yeah, not great. Track limits plaguing these guys, as we've seen 3 wide across the line between a number of drivers. I think that was after the fact, and they just happened to find themselves 3 abreast. But yeah, track limits are plaguing them. It's easy to extend, and yeah, iRacing can be a little bit harsh sometimes, but everyone's in the same boat. Again, if you don't want to slow down, stay on the track. And yeah, sometimes that happens. It is hurtful as a driver for it to happen on the final lap, especially if it sort of loses you a position. But yeah, that's just how it happens. Again, if you, as I say, stay on the track and it won't happen to you. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone gets the harsh track limits. And Cota is a difficult circuit to keep it within the track limits because of the fact it is so enticing to run wide. But for the most part, it was a clean, it was an enjoyable, tame race. Now, what race 2's got in store?
Yeah, is now with this race, it will be a different story altogether. Let's bring you up the Heat 1 results here once more. Callum Regan is your winner with Dan Mould in second, John O'Cook third, Adam Dalmont fourth, Paddy Faulkner in fifth. Then you've got Fraser Elphick sixth, Michael Lee seventh, Mikey Pollard eighth, Jake Corley ninth, and Stephen Fry finishing in 10th. Carl Jacklett takes the win in the AMS with Reese Watt in 12th, Tom Woodcott 13th, John Brown, Mark Draper, Alan McCain, and Scott Malcolm wrapping up the top 3 of the AMS. And you've got JB Deju, Kev Eilert, Jess Rakowski, Tom Anderson, Dan Lewis, Stuart Bickley, Ian Manners, Don Joy, Russell Fowler, and then Rob Williams. And then behind that, you've got Deck Crowther, who is 11 laps down there as well. So we kind of almost had that tame race 1, right? Now, I'm not expecting the same thing to be happening in race 2 here. 30 minutes, fast guys coming through the field. Could, in hindsight, Mr. Sweeney, get a little bit messy?
Yes. Sort of when you think about it, and sort of, you know, really sort of So just what a reverse grid is. You are putting the dominance of Callum Regarten right in amongst the pack. He's got, because it's top 15, it's not an entire grid. You have got drivers behind him as well that could, throw moves to the inside or whatever. So CRG is thrown right into the deep end. But he's got a championship to win, right? He needs to work his way forward. He needs to be punchy. He needs to be aggressive because, yes, it's a half-an-hour race. That is fairly long for touring car standards. But as soon as sort of the initial phase calms down and you get sort of these packs of cars, these bubbles, if you like, the 2, the 3, the 4 drivers, all closer together, and then you get gaps of 3, 4, 5 seconds beyond that, it then makes it difficult to make any progress past the initial, say, 5 minutes of the race. So CRG, if he wants to be successful, needs to get straight out the gates, needs to be punchy, needs to be aggressive, but also not throw everything away on the opening lap. It is a fine balance and a very, very skinny tightrope that he needs to walk, but he needs to balance it perfectly.
Yeah, he does, and he has struggled in a reverse grid there as well. Time for some chaos. The early form in the snake. We want 4 and 5 wide. Well, and Alan, unfortunately, they didn't quite get it in that race. Come on, Pickers. And Pickers got a meatball with the contact with Mark Draper. And then the Honourable Jay Corley from I Am Lee, who unfortunately has I'll say broke. I don't think he intentionally broke, but has got broken pedals and is unable to race here this evening, and possibly for the rest of the season. I did try the old WD-40 fix on the potentiometers that was causing his input issues, but apparently that didn't work. So, bit of a shame. But yeah, it's a shame there as well. Quite tame race. It was, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if that's the nature of the circuit. We go to Barber next week, then we've got the likes of Watkins Glen, and as we know, Watkins Glen is Watkins Glen, right? We're not even going on the full circuit. We're going to the club circuit or the international circuit. So that's going to be an interesting one for people as well, because some say Watkins Glen is more just, when you do pick that short circuit, it's like an oval with a few turns in it. Now, the Barber Motorsport, that's going to be a more interesting one. We're doing the full course at Barber, so that should bring us into a lot more ability for the people to overtake, because we've got a lot more fast flowing straights at Barber. There's quite a few overtaking positions looking at the track map currently as well for Barber. So for this season, I think it's going to be an interesting one. There is the calendar. We are going to Barber, then we're going off to Watkins Glen. On round 7, we're going off to Virginia North. Then we're going up to Lime Rock with West Bend. That's going to be a very, very interesting one. Road Atlanta Fall on round 9. And then we finish off with the Daytona NASCAR Road Circuit as well for the final round of the season. Plans will be in place for next season. We are looking at where we're going to take the JPB TCRs next. But for now, we'll keep you guessing as to wonder which part of the world we are going to be heading to. Mr. Sweeney, any ideas?
So we've done the UK.
We have.
So you say part of the world. You don't necessarily say which country, which tells me it's a sort of a group. Maybe a European leg or something. I mean, we've done North America. Well, we've done the USA, Barber, Mosport. There's not really an extensive amount of South American tracks. I mean, you've got Interlagos, obviously. Interlagos works. Can't really do an Australasia because there's not enough. You can maybe get away with a Japanese leg. You've got Motegi, you've got Fuji. But anyway, we've got round 4 here in Cota to worry about.
Here's the grid there. Mark Draper is going to be in first with John Brown second, Tom Woodcock third, Reese Watt fourth, Carl Jacklett fifth, Stephen Fry sixth, Jay Corley seventh, Mikey Pollard eighth, Michael Leese in ninth, Fraser Elphick 10th, Paddy Faulkner in 11th, with Adam Dalmont on row 6 in 12th. John O'Cook, Dan Mould are on row 7 with Callum Regarten, Alan McCain on row 8. Scott Malcolm, JB Deju, Kev Eilert and Just Rakowski round out your top 20. Tom Anderson, Dan Lewis, Stuart Bickley, Ian Manners, Dom Joy round out your top 25. Ross Fowler, Rob Williams, Dick Craver, and Stuart Gibbons there. I read that fairly quickly because they're all out on the racetrack already. The lights are off. Oh, Mark Draper didn't go anywhere. He's pulled over. He's pulled over. He's now going to leave John Brown and Tom Woodcock to battle it out. Coming into turn 1 at the moment as well. There's a big send in the middle from Reese Watt. Carl Jacquelin's battling out as well. There's an accident at the back. It's CRG. There's just chaos going on in the back of the track. There is absolute chaos at the back of the circuit there as well. Dan Lewis, Adam Dalmont all involved. It started with Callum Regarton, I believe, who may have also been involved in that. Somebody else is off the circuit. But we've got to have a look back at that one, Zach, because that just looked absolutely chaos. And it was CRG. Callum Regarton there and John O'Cook in the middle. There was a little rubbing there on the outside, unfortunately. Oh! Was that Dan Mould? Was that Dan Mould and John O'Cook? It was. There was contact the first time there. And then Mould squeeze in, comes across from Dan Mould into the side of CRG. Comes across the back of the track. Dalmont gets spun round. Dan Mould there and John O'Cook. I can imagine that the friendly conversation is going to happen after that. But unfortunately, I've got to put that more on Mould than I have on Cook on that one.
Yeah, it was just essentially just them playing bowling into turn 1. Yeah, once it happened, there wasn't really much that you could do. It was just a catalyst to a chain reaction that very much did spiral its way out of control. And yeah, Dan Mould maybe drifting to the left ever so slightly. In the end, he ruined his own race and also the race of those around him. Of course, he's still in contention for a top 10. He's managed to recover fairly well in order to sort of salvage what could still be a decent race. I mean, the top 11 are all nose to tail. No one separated by more than half a second. It's side by side a little bit further up. You've got Tom Woodcock versus Mikael Lees into turn number 1. Around the outside, tries to go Mikael Lees, but Tom Woodcock has got it covered. It does open the door for Mikey Pollard to reel his way into contention as well. But no changes. They run their way into the S's.
Yeah, they are here. Paddy Faulkner is going to be catching up to the back end of Dan Mould already. He has. We have got from 11th all the way down into Tom Woodcock with 4th Carl Jacklett and John Brown. Woodcock's got it all wrong. He keeps it on the circuit. But Paddy Faulkner now closing into the back of Mould. Cook's in there as well. And also Jay Corley, Fraser Elphick running side by side. Corley does make it this time once more. CRG is back out on track, I believe, and is still running. Dan Mould and John O'Cook there side by side, going into currently turn 11 through into 12 and then down through 13. Oh, Mould's gone again. Mould has gone again. He's done it. Oh, I don't really know on that one.
Have a look. He doesn't really do anything out of the ordinary.
Oh, we need to find John O'Cook's front right, I think.
Here it is. Netcode.
Yeah.
Slap a netcode.
Yeah, definitely it was on that one. It definitely was netcode on that one. That has put Dan Mould into the pits. Carl Jacklett sitting in second place with Michael Lees. John Brown, Pollard running side by side there as well. And off he goes up in the inside. John Brown with Pollard, with Lees. Brown takes it. Corley's coming in that little Honda. I'd say little. He's got a few Hondas around him here at the moment. Pollard's in a Honda. Paddy Faulkner's in a Honda. And Bickley's in a Honda. So there is a few Hondas here as well. We've got Woodcock in the pits. Cook's in the pits. Anderson, Mould, Lewis also in the pits there as well. They all got caught up in incidents. We've just seen what happened to Dan Mould. But unfortunately, that was a big old dose of netcode there, unfortunately, that shot Dan Mould off to the right hand side of the circuit. But at the moment, Reese Watt could be on for his first win here this evening in the season here, Zach, as well. And for this young man, that's going to be a great achievement. He's just got to keep it on track. Carl Jacklett's opened up a 1.1 second gap over Michael Lees with John Brown, Mikey Pollard, Jay Corley and Elphick all battling it out here as well. This is going to get very, very interesting as we come down towards the end of the first 5 minutes as we're going off round turn 14.
Yeah, so everyone staying quite nicely nose to tail, but Reese Watt building a gap, obviously a little bit quicker than Carl Jacklett. That last lap was over a second faster than Jacklett, so if he can continue to build that gap while Mikael Lee, John Brown, Pollard, Corley, etc. all still have to battle their way past Jacklett, if they can even get past Jacklett. That's sort of the main thing as well. Reese Watt has already built up a nice buffer that he can sort of not necessarily relax with for the rest of the race, but something that he can try to maintain, do enough in order to hang on to it. And yeah, that would definitely see him potentially power his way to his maiden victory. Let's see what he's got in store. Mikey Pollard trying to chuck the move to the inside and didn't quite work out from in the end. But we've got intense battles all the way through the pack. It has sparked a little bit of something with drivers, you know, sending moves that maybe are on, maybe aren't on, but that fine line. And when they're all in a pack, all nose to tail together, what it does do is it really spice things up, because drivers then see an opportunity for themselves to get involved.
Yeah, they definitely do. I want to try and catch CRG's car. I didn't think he had a bumper on it. He is closed up. He is 9th place at the moment as Callum Regarden. You can see the inner workings there of that Veloster as he gets very, very close to Paddy Faulkner here as well. CRG's on a bit of a mission here, Zach. He looks like he's trying hard to try and make up as many positions as he can. Now that's going to be great for him with the absence of Dan Mold. Dan Mold obviously currently is back out on track, I believe. No, he is out here as well for Dan Mold. So for CRG, could be a big old gain here if he can just keep it on track and gain a few positions of the pros in front of him.
Yeah, it's races like this where you've got two options. You either settle and you're content with gaining a decent amount of points when you're arriving on a bad day, or you seize this opportunity and you go for it. Side by side, by the way, you've got Fraser Elphick, Jay Corley fighting away for 6th place as that continues off the exit of the final corner up towards turn number 1. Are we going to see a side by side? Indeed we are. It's Fraser Elphick fighting away with Paddy Faulkner, CRG around him as well. Up the hill into turn number 1, you can see CRG in that Sablet machine trying to chuck the move to the inside of Jay Corley. He's just about managed to get it stopped. It's Corley the long way round who quite nicely keeps his foot and gives him the inside as they sweep their way through 2. CRG forced to relinquish that position and stay behind for now. For CRG, as I say, is he content with 7th place and gaining X amount of points on Dan Mould, or does he say, no, when am I ever going to get this opportunity again? Chances are it's going to be fairly unlikely. I want to push as hard as I can and gain as many points as I can, because, you know, worst case scenario, the gap stays the same. Worst case scenario, neither of them score any points relative to each other. John Brown, I believe, just got a slowdown as well as CRG finds his way past on Jay Corley, heading their way through. But Corley is not giving this up without a fight at all. He chucks the move back to the inside for the next right-hander. CRG, again, not a driver that's going to want to back down. He wants every point possible in that fight with Mould.
Yeah, he definitely does. And Corley's, of course, in his class. Jacklett is not. It is a separate score system for the AMs and for the pros. So it doesn't matter where the AMs finish. If Jacklett wins the AMs, he will win and get maximum points. He's not going to lose places because he's 4th overall. Now, from Jacklett's point of view, he's got to see the Evolution with CRG. It's quite interesting that Callum Regarden's literally got, what, probably 3/4 of a car there, because you see the whole front end's missing. And it's still as quick as the people around him and still making overtakes and still passing people. It just goes to show that, you know, the lad's very talented. He's nearly 7K rated. I should hope he definitely is at that point. As you can see in the background, John Brown with Stuart Bickley fighting it out as they go over the grid. Brown's on the defense. He's going to try and come now as well. Here's Bickley going to try and go around the outside into turn 1. He's not. He's going to look for the cutback. Bickley's going to turn in late as they go running side by side. We're also side by side with Corley and Elphick in front of us at the moment. Bickley's on that left. Brown's on that right as they're going around turn 5 once more, and it is Bickley who manages to hold on, and from Brown on that one. Elphick did manage to clear Jay Corley, and it's now for Corley. He's got Paddy Faulkner closing up right behind him here, and as they go off around turn 9, Zach, well, this group of cars still together, and for Carl Jacklett is the cork in a bottle. He does allow Callum Regarden through, which probably was the sensible thing for Carl Jacklett, because he has got a lot of time over Scott Malcolm.
He has. He also allows Fraser Elphick through. Jay Corley wants to slice of the pie. He's going to be looking to just about get himself alongside. He's now got to be later on the brakes, but also that pinch point just in that second apex of the little sweeper. Jay Corley forced to stay behind to himself. Has to be careful of Paddy Faulkner. But yeah, Kyle Jacklett, he's got a huge buffer to play with. And if I was him, I definitely wouldn't be putting up too much of a fight against some of these pros. But then again, Scott Malcolm is in this train. So it's not exactly like Kyle Jacklett can just let them all through, because then almost immediately Scott Malcolm will be putting a little bit of pressure on him. So I suppose there is a little bit of an incentive to Jacklett to stay ahead of these guys because they are all nose to tail. It's not like he's got Corley, Faulkner, Bickley, Brown, Fry, and then a huge gap back to Malcolm. No, he is there, and if he does drop through this train, he find himself nose to tail with his rival very, very quickly. But Jacklett looking incredibly strong, it must be said, and has really been mixing it up quite nicely. Jay Corley with a late send to the inside of turn 1, though, nicely done. Paddy Faulkner follows him through, same two to Stuart Bickley, and Kyle Jacklett has just lost 3 places in 1 quarter.
I'm going to say that's partly intentional. I'm not going to lie. I think from Kyle Jacklett that was probably more intentional than trying to hold it there, because you saw him go in. You saw Corley come like an absolute missile. It was almost like Jacklett just slowed down a lot earlier, but Pollard still now got CRG right behind him. Don't forget, this is a battle for class. In the class, both of these drivers are pros, so for Pollard it's going to be whether or not what he can do against CRG. He doesn't have to try and, you know, defend frantically, but he's got to try and put up a bit of an effort here for Pollard. He almost manages it off, but CRG now up into 3rd place, and he's got a 4-second gap to Michael Lease in front. That's going to be a tough one, but I'm not going to put it past Callum Regarden with 18 minutes to go.
Yeah, he's still got over half the race left to fight this one, so I don't know if he's going to win. I'd say 2nd place definitely is an attainable target, but a whole 7 seconds to reswat is going to be tough, especially when their last lap was only separated by 0.2 of a second. That is a little bit of a tough ask. I mean, that last lap from reswat 40.9. Let's see what CRG can do once he's obviously had a lap in clear air, 40.4, so half a second, so it is coming down, but do they have 14 laps left is the question, is that is what Callum Regarden is going to need on a consistent basis if he wants to win this race. We're keeping an eye on obviously that gap between CRG and Michael Lease. It came down by 6 tenths on that last lap alone, so yeah, I'd say CRG's got 2nd. I don't know about 1st.
Well, there is Callum Regarden, there is Mikey Pollard, there is Elphick behind that. Then they've got about a 3.5 second gap to this next train of Corley, Faulkner, Bickley, and then you've got Jacklett behind that. Down here we've got Stephen Fry with John Brown. Further down, Alan McCain and Scott Malcolm fighting it down for 13th and 14th place. Jess Rakowski having a battle with Dom Joy here as they're going off round into turn 8 and 9, and then the left-hander there for them once more. So we've still got a few cars running here out on track. You can see on the left-hand side it's 24 cars all together left running, and for now it's all about what Pollard's going to be able to do from Elphick here.
Yeah, let's see the battle for 4th, and Fraser Elphick wants to promote himself up, get some extra points. They're in a bit of a no man's land. Of course, they've got a bit of a gap that's going to continue to grow ahead to CRG, and then behind them they've got Jay Corley 3.5 seconds back as well. So yeah, they've got a little bit of a gap forwards and behinds. I mean, to be fair to them, they're maintaining the gap to CRG, you know, not too bad. I'm sure it's going to continue to grow, but one mistake from CRG and this could well be a fight for the podium between the two of them. Let's see, right on board with the Scotsman of Fraser Elphick. He is close. It's close enough for a move. I think Mikey Pollard knows that. He's going to duck to the left-hand side, be late on the brakes, is the number 13 machine. He gets it stopped, he hits an apex, and trying to get the up and under there is Mikey Pollard, but I think he's just allowed him through in order to take that position.
Corley's made a mistake in the back round. He didn't lose 1 place, he lost 2. Corley made that mistake going into turn 1. He lost that place, he lost it to Bickley, he lost it to Faulkner. So for Jay Corley there, big mistake going into turn 1, and I can guarantee what happened. I think he's just put too many beans on that one. He ran wide. There he is trying to come back on the circuit, and he did unfortunately just make that mistake, and that put him down 2 positions into to 8th overall now for Quali. Carl Jacklett again mixing it up with John Brown behind him, but now for Carl, Scott Malcolm's there now. You can see Scott Malcolm in the background, and Kev Eilett's not too far away either. So he's got to be a little bit careful of how he deals with this now, doesn't he? He's got John Brown, Stephen Fry and Russ Fowler. Does he allow them through? Well, if Fry and Brown keep fighting out, there's no reason he's going to have to within the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, very true. Side by side as Fry tries to go to the outside of the triple right-hander. That is bold, I'll give him that. Good attempt, but yeah, to no fruition, unfortunately, for Stephen Fry, who is, yeah, on the fringes of a top 10. So many pockets of battles, lots of potential, not really much deliverance on it as it stands. Many people just happy with their positions or not quite able to go for the move. A little bit wide from John Brown off the exit of the final corner. Could open the door potentially for Stephen Fry. Of course, these two not really having the best race so far, down 8 and 5 places respectively on their starting order. They've then also got the Audi RS3 just in the background, just watching along. Stephen Fry sending the move to the inside of John Brown, who fights the fight to the outside of turn 1, gives him the inside for 2. Stephen Fry once again forced to play second fiddle in behind. So yeah, they might be comrades in SRL, but they are definitely rivals out on track.
Yeah, CRG now with Michael Lee. So Michael Lee's got a little bit loose and unfortunately was slow there coming through turn 10. He runs wide. CRG does go through. Callum Regarten with a half beat up car. He got himself, I can't believe he's just kind of done this. He's got himself into second within the first 17 minutes here with 13 minutes to go and currently doing a 1:39.95 while Reece Watt is on a 1:41.03, so nearly 1.1 seconds slower than Callum Regarten. This could be a victory. Oddly enough, for Mr. CRG, it could be a victory for him. As you can see, he's pulled out a second that time. There's Reece Watt. Lap 8, he was another second. Lap 7, 6. I tell you what, Reece Watt's going to have to get on his boots at the moment because CRG's coming.
Oh, he is, yeah. It didn't take very long, and CRG is already onto the what could well be race-winning potential. I mean, yeah, that last lap of 40.7, albeit with an overtake, so only a 4/10 gap closure between Reece Watt and CRG, but yeah, he very much is closing bit by bit. There is still 12 minutes and 37 seconds left to go, so not the longest amount of time in the world, but still very much long enough. Especially if CRG continues at the pace that he is at, we could well see a fight for the lead. I think it is going to come down to maybe the final 4 or 5 minutes as such, pending any mistakes or anything for Reece Watt that could see the gap close a little bit quicker. But if it stays as it is, I reckon it is going to come down to maybe the final 3 laps. Which for Reece Watt, I think is very much an achievable defense campaign. I mean, CRG is going to obviously be sending moves being quite aggressive, but 3 laps, Reece Watt, between you and a maiden victory, just light work, just keep him behind. Yeah. Obviously, every time you turn the steering wheel, you slow yourself down. You add more friction to the car, and friction slows you down. Essentially, it's resistance against what the car is doing. And yeah, it's a good thing. But the more times you do it, obviously, the slower you are going to go. There's Stephen Fry chucking the move to the inside of Russell Fowler, not quite able to find his way past as of yet. But yeah, that's why being smooth is the quicker option. Obviously, 90% of the time. There are some instances where being aggressive can be quicker, but there's been laps that I've done that are just cool-down laps, really. And I've been smooth, as you've got there Fraser Alfick and Michael Lees now fighting for a podium after Mikey Pollard's slight mistake a little bit earlier on. You can see Michael Lees trying to get the upper under, not quite able to, but still fighting side by side with Alfick. And well, this fight for the podium is definitely one that we're going to be indulging in over the course of the next 9 minutes.
Yeah, definitely there as well. So Michael Lees losing that position to Mikey Pollard. Russ Fowler, John Brown still going at each other here as well. I'm not entirely sure what all of this is about, mine and Zach's mics. Both of us are working correctly and doing all the things that it should be doing. So I'm not entirely sure on that one what has happened there. But as long as you can both hear us now, that's incredibly strange considering I've not actually touched anything. John Brown with a possible slowdown. It's either that or he's gone on the defence. I think he's gone on the defence. He's going to try and hold it off here. And he's going to be able to hold it. But boy, oh boy, it's Fowler putting him under pressure with Stephen Fry wrapped up right behind him. And look at this. There he is. DRG, Reese Watt, look at the differences. Oh, yeah. He's going to be done within the... Like, he's not even going to wait 5 minutes. It's going to be 8 minutes remaining, I think.
Going to be tough if Reese Watt wants to win this, which of course he does. It's a maiden victory. Look at the front end of CRG's car, though. It is astonishing that he's able... I think he has managed to get away with it, but look at this, immediately on the attack, forced all the way to the pit wall. CRG, he's just about able to keep himself alongside Reese Watt, is fighting this to the death. It widens up before you approach the braking zone. Inside line for Callum Ricardo, but the up and under there potentially for Reese Watt. He's not quite going to be able to get the overlap he wants. CRG takes the lead.
Oh,
you have to imagine that he's going to be a done deal.
Oh, mate, how? The guy is on a different level, gets hits out at the very beginning, ends up down the back of the field, and then just comes back with no bumper, cars in pieces, and Callum Ricardo just moves his way up and takes the lead like it was nothing. Like, yeah, you know, it was just a Sunday drive for me. I just went past all the old ladies that were on the motorway doing 70 towing caravans, and CRG has just gone, thank you very much, I'm off. Cheers, boys. See you later. How? Different level. A different level. We got a battle down in the arms of Scott Malcolm and Kev Eilert here. Jess Rakowski's also involved. This is a battle for second place. Richard Simnall was quite nice, really. Thank you very much for that. I didn't realise that being muted was a good thing. And I still can't understand how that even worked out, considering I've not touched anything. Rakowski's going to try around the outside of turn 11. This will give her the inside of 13 if she can stays alongside. She's not at the moment. Now take... Oh! Eilert went on the defence there, Zach, as well. He knew he had to block that inside because he knew Rakowski was going to be coming. Yeah,
yeah. Basically, you've got to read your opponent. You've got to predict what they're going to do and make the right decision as well. Hindsight, of course, is a beautiful thing, but being able to read the body language of other drivers, know if they are going to be able to go for a move, you know, how willing they are going to be to send a move and how audacious it might be, but still being able to cover off your bases, because you don't want to phantom defend. You don't want to be defending thin air, because that is just going to leave you susceptible. As side by side in the background, Stephen Fry's had an issue, I think, finding himself out of this race, but we did see side by side just in the background of shot, I believe, between Jamie Deju and Dom Joy as they run their way in towards turn number 1. You can see it's Deju that just about stays ahead, but too late on the brakes, and Dom Joy finds his way back up the inside and up now into 17th place.
It does. It's kind of all died down at the front as we are entering into the last 5 minutes. We've got this mid-am battle here for second, third and fourth in the AMs. Rakowski is currently in the back of the field, trying to chase down on Eilert, trying to chase down on Malcolm. So let's see what happens here, whether or not this AM fight is going to be right the way down to the wire. And I think normally, knowing these hands here, neither of these are going to give this up, Zach. I think this is going to be a shootout. It's just where Alan McCain and whether or not McCain wants to get involved in this, why these probably are battling it out for that podium.
Yeah, these guys really looking quite strong. It's been very respectful as well. Great mutual respect shown between these guys, and not very long left to go at all either. I'd say 3, maybe 4, probably closer to 3 laps left to go. I mean, CRG's just started the 15th lap. It's a 1 minute 40 lap average for him. So yeah, probably closer to 3 laps left to go in this race. Of course, we'll find out in all due course. But we've got Jess Rakowski trying to pick her way past Kev Ayler and then Scott Malcolm. This is the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the AM category. As you say, how eager is McCain to really get involved in this, knowing what he could be interrupting, knowing how aggressive these guys could well potentially be. Is Rakowski going to make any change going into turn number 1? She is. She pulls up to the left-hand side. She gets the squeeze, though, as Aylett brings the car over to the left-hand side. It's later on the brakes for Rakowski, but not quite able to find her way through. Alan McCain putting a little bit of pressure on the American. The 999 stays where she is now, albeit probably not to her delight.
Yeah, definitely wants to try and clear through on Aylett there. He wants to get past. She's going to want to be taking that position away. And we'll see here what does actually happen in this pack currently at the moment. As you can see, Rakowski, Aylett and Malcolm 8 seconds back from Carl Jacklett. Oh, the Rakowski got her elbows out. Tried to stick her nose up the inside, unsettle Kev Aylett. And all she's done is brought Alan McCain into it. He's going to now get himself involved in that Elantra here. That was a bit of a grave error from Rakowski. I'm not quite sure that would have been the place that I would have tried to stick my nose up the inside.
Now, there are definitely better places to be doing it. But, yeah, at least for now they continue on, pointing in the right way. But, yeah, could have been close to disaster for Jess Rakowski. But still in 4th place in the AMs. Would like that 3rd, would even maybe like that 2nd, but there's only a number of laps left to go. Time very much a luxury in this pursuit for an AM podium. Of course, on home soil here at the Circuit of the Americas. Not entirely sure where in the USA she's from. It could be from Austin, Texas. It could be from the complete opposite type of settlement in the USA. You know, actually, most other cities, in fairness, are probably the polar opposite to Austin, Texas. But sort of you get the gist. It's a big place, America, but you know, still home soil. It's a home country, and she'd like to maybe find herself on the podium. There definitely is a chance of that, but as it stands, it's Carl Jacklett, Scott Malcolm, and Kev Aylett making it an all-UK podium at the moment, and well, looking very, very strong in that. Same too, to be fair, in the pros. You've got 2 Brits and 1 Scotsman in the top 3, which is a nice pattern, I suppose. Those guys are going to be very happy with their current results. Yeah, they definitely are as well. Corley's under pressure here once more. He's under pressure from Paddy Faulkner. I know the timing tower there is saying it's Jess Rakowski, but I can promise you we are not on board with Jess Rakowski. It's just having a little bit of a funny 5 minutes here. As I will try and deal with that in the background at the same time. So bear with us. It has now gone on to Jay Corley as we're coming through what will be, I'm going to presume here, Zach, I think that's going to be about the final lap. We'll keep an eye on the cockpit of Jay Corley just to let us know what will be as we come over the line. As we know, it's been very, very close here, but I think they crossed the line with 1:25 on the clock. Barney is waving. It is the final lap here, and you've got to put it in the hand, and you know, for CRG, you've got to give him all the props in the world because he's doing an absolute stellar job once more, taking that victory with a battered car. Can he be the driver of the day? A double victory here for Callum Reed-Garton as well? There's no other way really to go about it. I mean, no other driver I don't think has really impressed me as much as CRG has. Scott Malcolm under pressure is Jess Rakowski is trying to put a little bit of pressure onto him if she's able to, but not quite in the form as it stands. Of course, Scott Malcolm on the back of Kev Aylett. That's the fight for 2nd in the AM, so that's going to come down to the wire in the final lap of this race. But Yeah, just in general, I don't really think I've been impressed by anyone more than Callum Regat, and he has just been on fire in a double victory. Well, we said he needed points in the championship. This is definitely one way to do it.
Definitely. Absolutely. It's coming round turn 15 for the final time. I'm keeping an eye on this battle as well. We will pick up on CRG going over the line. He's coming through 16 currently on that run down into turn 17, the final corner of the racetrack. Here he comes once more. CRG absolutely buried it. Did an absolute epic job. What's happening here with Russ Fowler as these guys are coming round as well into that last corner? Is Jay Corley going to take that 7th place? I believe he is. He's just got one more turn to try and hold Paddy Faulkner back here. Can Faulkner make the move into the last corner? He can't. I think Corley is going to take it. He is going to take it there with Jay Corley coming over the line in 7th. Now we go to this battle. Now we've got Scott Malcolm and Kev Aylett. I think it is going to be Aylett though who's going to take that 2nd place. Kev Aylett there doing an absolute stellar job. Takes the 2nd place with Malcolm in 3rd. So 2 podiums out of 2 for Malcolm. Double victory for Carl Jacklett. Double victory for CRG. Well, been a good night of racing for them guys.
Yeah, been a good night of racing for everyone, I think, in fairness. Maybe bar Dan Mould and such who didn't finish race 2. But us in the commentary booth, I've enjoyed it. I've very much had a pleasant time. These guys have put on the action from start to finish. All 15 minutes of racing action plus the 15 minutes in qualifying as well. But all in all, yeah, it's been a very successful day as we expected, I think, from Cota.
I think so. I'm sure I'm probably going to hear some people grumble about Cota. You know, I think these cars work better on the short circuit than they would do on the Grand Prix circuit. I've got to be honest. I think this short circuit just gives that TCR feel to it, where the long circuit is more of a Grand Prix F1 W13 GT3 kind of scenario. So, you know, I think there might be some grumbles, but let's see here as we look at the final results of the final race of the evening. Callum Regat again, 2 victories out of 2 in 1st place, with Reese Watt in 2nd, Fraser Elphick in 3rd, Michael Lees in 4th, Mikey Pollard in 5th, with Stuart Bickley in 6th. Jay Corley there, fabulous 7th, Patrick Faulkner in 8th, and Russell Fowler in 9th. Carl Jacklett wins the AMS, a double victory for him. Ian Manners in 11th, with John Brown in 12th. Kev Aylett and Scott Malcolm round out the AM podium. Alan McCain, Just Rakowski and Adam Delmont. Delmont battled his way back through to 17th there, with JB Deju, Dom Joy and Stephen Fry rounding out the top 20 respectively. Mark Draper, Rob Williams, Tom Woodcock all finished the race. Dan Lewis finished 2 laps down. John O'Cook, Dan Mould and Tom Anderson did not finish, with Deck Craver and Stuart Gibbons. So not a good day for the Blade Design boys here as well. Let's start off the interviews as we normally do here with the man that had a double victory in the AMS tonight. He's done a great job. He's going to be smiling ear to ear. He's played his cards right. He's done it in the right way, and he has got 2 victories out of 2. So let's have a chat with Mr. Carl Jacklett. Carl, welcome into the booth, dear sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Very good. Yeah, that'll do. Happy with that.
Yeah, that will give you a little boost, wouldn't it, in the championship? You know what I mean?
Very measured drive. Didn't fight anyone I didn't have to. Just kept it within the limits. Only had a 7X in the that 2nd race. I think it was only about 5 in the 1st race too. Just keeping it gentle, keeping it in the lines, looking after the car, not getting in any stupid fights, and getting the result.
And you seem to be doing that now, week in, week out basis. You know, I think you're now progressing and advancing from last season to the points now where you seem a lot more comfortable in that kind of category. It was always going to be tough in the pros. You've dropped down into the AMs, and you seem a lot more comfortable this season, a lot more in control of the Veloster.
Yeah, I find it a better car. It just turns in better. It just suits my style a bit more. The other one, I found it a little bit heavy and ponderous.
Yeah, because you were in the Elantra.
Wouldn't really respond.
Yeah, I think it was the Elantra you was in last season, wasn't you? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you were. But you're having fun in that Veloster. That's going to give you a big old chunk of points, especially with Deck Craver not actually finishing race 2.
Oh, yes.
That's going to definitely put you up in the fight, I believe. That might actually be you taking that beginning, that lead in the AM fight.
It would be nice because the second race last week was a bit pants after getting on the curb and getting spat into the barrier. That wasn't ideal.
No, it definitely wasn't there. But, you know, Carl, you've gone out and you've dominated this evening in the AM category. You did a great job there as well. Anyone you want to shout out before I let you go?
Just everybody as usual. Also, my website is now live.
Okay, go and check out photomedia.uk, guys, as well, and see what the work of Carl Jacklett does look like. So go and check it out there as it is on the side of the car and on the screen right there. So, Carl, well done. I'm going to go and have a look at it after this race, but well done, buddy, on your double victory this evening.
Thank you very much. It's been great. Really enjoyed it.
Good job, man. Take care.
Ciao.
Right, now next up, before we pull in the pro Victor, let's have a chat with one Mr. Scott Malcolm, the Scotsman here this evening. 2 podiums out of 2, both in 3rd place, but he is managing to keep his tally up and keep within that AM fight. So let's have a chat with him now. Scott, welcome into the booth, dear sir. How are you?
I'm good. Especially after that, that was tough going.
Yeah, tough track, wasn't it?
Isn't it half? Who picked that one?
Well, I did. Sorry. But look, you know, let's talk about your 2 podiums, right? You've done everything you can possibly do now within this AM drivers standings. You went in today basically in 2nd ahead of Carl Jacklett. Carl's obviously taken the victory in both races. You've got 2 3rd places, so you have lost a few points here. Going on to Barber next week as well. It's going to be a close run-in with these AMs, I think, as well, Scott. I think you're going to have to be on it every single week.
Yeah, well, I said that for the start, didn't I?
Yeah.
It's no wide open. It's anybody's game. You get different winners every week. All right. Maybe Carl can slow down a wee bit. But yeah, you're getting different winners. You're getting different guys on the podium. Like there's cast out. He was leading the championship. He cast out with
Crowver, yeah.
I think. So he'll come back next week. He'll be stronger. Jess is there or thereabouts as well. You've got Kev as well. You know, Kev, Steve, Tom, whatever you want to call him. He's up there as well. So yeah, it's everybody's. You know, it's a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us there, buddy, in the booth. Anyone you want to shout out before I let you go?
Obviously, yourselves for doing this series, and I was getting a wee bit of slagging off for forgetting what the team name is, but Performance Link Esports, I think that's it.
Yeah, that is it, mate. Well done to you. Scott, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to having a chat with you next week.
Tuesday morning, cheers.
Be careful. Well, there you go. You'll love Scott Malcolm there as well. Forgets what team he's in. But now we can have a chat with the man himself. He took the victory in race 1. He gets spun out in race 2, lap 1, turn 1, with half a car, comes through the field and takes a double victory. And that can only be the man that can probably only do that. And that is one Mr. Callum Ricardo. Dear sir, welcome into the booth. How are you?
Hello, boys. You all right?
Mate, I am. Dude, race 1, well done. You took a victory. I want to talk about race 2. The start was rough, wasn't it?
It was. I don't know what it is. I swear I've just got a target on me at every race. It's always race 2, every single time. But yeah, it's all good fun. Like that's why I carried on. Like, see where it is. I noticed like straight away the car wasn't like it wasn't a terminal issue. So I just carried on and just see how it was, and then but I had a bit of steering damage as well, but it was okay. It was drivable.
It was drivable. I went through the whole field and come back and took the victory. Do you know what I mean? We were looking, I think that's one of the things, right? We were looking at your inputs in the steering wheel because obviously, you know, you got your arms moving, which is ideal. You know, you seem very smooth in the car, even though, as you put it, it was broken.
Yeah, you have to drive these with like you basically just drive them on the weight shift pretty much. So you're just countering the weight balance of like your inputs are like throttle and braking pretty much. So that's why it looks so smooth because you're not doing a lot of input on the steering wheel because you're just counter reacting like the steering basically and like the weight transfer of the car in the corner. So that's why it looks like quite minimalistic.
Yeah, compared to others I've looked at in the cockpit, Callum, yours was minimalistic. Theirs was probably a little bit more aggressive, should we say. But how did you find this circuit? Cota West as well. Different kind of makeup from the Grand Prix circuit. Short, twisty, lots of difficult corners in there as well. I'm not sure people love this circuit, but I thought it was a good one for these cars.
Yeah, it was quite fun to be fair. It was a bit different. I mean, it's not something I'd probably choose, but we roll with it. Obviously, it's a part of the calendar and obviously the theme behind the calendar. So, but no, it was quite fun to be fair. Like you say, it was different. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And we go on to Barber next week. How are you going to get on there, do you reckon?
I think it should be okay. I quite like Barber. It's been a while since I drove there though, but yeah, it should be okay.
All right, mate. Awesome stuff. Well, Callum, thanks so much for joining us there, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, you guys are obviously setting this up every week in, week out, doing a great commentary alongside it as well. So thank you guys for sorting that out. And also shout out to my team sub out.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you very much, CRG, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next week, buddy.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care. Bye. I love it. You don't have to do a lot. It works on the weight transfer of the car there, Zach. And we look at his inputs, they're smooth as anything. We look at other people's and it's all rough and ready. And he still says the car was broken. Imagine what he'd done if the car wasn't broken.
That is true. Yeah. Scary to think about, really, but
yeah. How far ahead he would have been then if the car wasn't broken.
yeah, well, he's just that quick. I want to have what he has in his Weetabix in the morning, and yeah, CLG, he's just the man on top form, and he obviously knows these cars really well. As he said, he really does understand how you have to drive them, how the cars lean quite nicely through the corners and things, and Cota needs that driving style. So yeah, he drove really well and very much to deserve the double win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, that's going to bring it to the end. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined us. I'm going to go off and have a little nap as I've got a broadcast at like 3 o'clock in the morning for the 100 Division 2 Championship. So stay tuned for that one, as that is live for race 29 from Homestead. Don't forget, over the weekend, we've got the Virtual World Sports Car Championship coming up tomorrow. We've also got the Sim Racing for Simpletons returns with their new Super Formula series. That's an 8-calendar series as well. That video will go up very, very shortly. And then, of course, on Sunday, we've got the IFL from the Canadian Grand Prix. And, of course, the IGP Formula 3 as well from Aragon. But for now, guys, thank you so much to everybody that has joined me here in the YouTube chat. Much appreciated to every single person. It was great to see you all before we went live. But from myself, I've been James Parfitt up in the booth with Zach Sweeney. And as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.